Welcome, guys. I hope you guys can hear me. I look horrible. My green screen effect is so horribly digitized right now. My sound is probably at its worst. I'm actually using a headset for sound. All I've got to stream is my laptop. I'm not using any cameras or anything like that. I've had some trouble with my streaming quality as of late because it's been look at it, it's horrendous. But it's been this way ever since I moved into this new studio trying to get everything set up right. The last time I hooked up my live stream, you guys were complaining of audio problems, which was a nightmare to deal with. I didn't want to actually have like that type of situation with audio problems and whatnot. But here I am with audio problems. But then my camera software, I use a device. Actually, I can pull it out now because it's not even working. So bear with me, please. Um, and if you're seeing this stream later, bear with me as well. I use this Camlink HDMI USB device. So you could just plug in an HDMI device right here. And then when you do that, you can plug in USB right into your laptop. The problem with this is that when you do that, you occasionally get glitches. Now, you guys, I would assume that some of you have seen my previous streams, and then when you do that, you see me freeze and freeze and freeze. I got to get a new setup. I'm working on a new setup, which will come shortly in one of my future live streams coming up. And I promise you, I'll have a whole new set. I won't look or sound this bad, and that's what I get for using a webcam. I thought this looked kind of cool. I look kind of weird and like dissolved into the background, and so bad, it's good. That's my personal opinion. Like it or hate it. Thank you guys for watching. So today we've got several topics that I wanted to cover and talk about, and it's all good news. It's actually great news for Sega. It's great news for the industry itself. It's great news for us fans, especially if you're a fan of Shenmue, if you're a fan of Sega, you know what the good news is. First of all, they've been on a run, in my personal opinion, at least from a nostalgic older gamer's opinion, at least within the past few months. The re-release of Shenmue series 1 and 2 last year caught a lot of our attention. Um, sure, it's a couple of years ago, but Sonic Mania was amazing. Sonic Mania Plus was a welcome addition. But, that was a few years ago. But then with the excitement that they built with Shenmue, especially the release, and then the Sonic the Hedgehog movie actually doing well. They Paramount fixed the problems with the movie, and it releases at the perfect time because it releases with minimal competition, except for you had the what they call the Suicide Squad sequel, if you want to call it that, Birds of Prey. But Birds of Prey, unfortunately, isn't faring so well against Sonic the Hedgehog, a Sega-owned franchise. Absolutely ecstatic over that. The fact that we're actually getting our franchises up on the big screen, a Sega franchise. And not only that, but we beat Nintendo. Granted, Nintendo's Pikachu, the Pikachu detective movie had to compete against Endgame with Marvel. Of course, you're going to have trouble and struggle competing with that, but they did pretty well with the Pikachu movie. And then you have Sonic doing exceptionally well in their movie. I just love that. Nice to see you on Retro Godfather. Um, and the fact that that's doing well is great news. But previously, we're going to talk about what this video was, and it's you kind of already see it next to me, and it's the Shenmue 3 performance, and that was a concern for me. Like when the game was launched back in November, a number of us Shenmue fans, me in particular, because I'm here, right? I do this, I do it with you guys, so It's it's definitely me. I was keeping an eye on the performance. You couldn't really see how it was doing upon initial release because it's harder to capture sales revenue um, early on. Early on, because it's sure you have in-store sales, but then you have a lot of digital revenue that you won't particularly get from the developers initially. So you have to kind of wait and see what's how they're performing and how they're doing. So all our excitement with Shenmue, there was still a lot of people saying, "What's Shenmue? I'd never heard of this game, and what's it about?" And we're doing our best to spread the word. Not only me as an online creator, but so many online creators out there, and actually big gaming publishers. Not publishers by like publishers, but publishers meaning like game review publishers, like those websites and everything, like Game Informer, IGN, GameSpot. They covered the game too. So it was a lot of exposure from game coverage. And I did a video in the past that was like a mix of reviewing the reviews and to see what was really a good opinion about the game, but also it was my personal take that I did in the past. But without further ado, let's get to the nitty gritty of the performance of Shenmue. Now, I saw initial reports actually a couple of weeks ago from a couple of articles, which I don't have and I'm not going to mention here right now. I'll probably, when I re upload the video, I'll put the links to all of these reports in the description below. But what I saw was that Shenmue, according to Epic Games, underperformed. And that was an initial scare. I was like, no way did it underperform. How are we going to get a sequel? Or how are we meant to get a Shenmue 4 if it underperformed? But, I held that with a grain of salt because until you get an actual press release of performance of the game, I'm going to hold back on that. So then, here we are. What I have next to me, behind me, and through me with all these weird effects that I've got going on is the operational EBIT increased 54% for the Embracer Group, which the Embracer Group is several groups, publishers that are combined together that make up the sales performance of this, what they are, investment group. Okay? So what this means is they count the revenue of all of these different developers or publishers under one arm. And forgive me for the sirens if you hear it. Like I said, I live right next to a police station, so it happens all the time. They're not after me, I swear. So anyway, to the point, this came out recently, and this is their basically annual report. So in an annual report, they just list what was the most profitable and what wasn't the most profitable, and how they did, and where their sales, gross profit, operational profit, EBIT stands for earnings before interests and tax. So basically, how they perform from an operation standpoint. If you take out non-cash items, yes, I'm a financial analyst, so I'm a bit into those numbers. Let me know if I bore you. But on to the nitty gritty. In the CEO's comments that you see right here, one of their business areas that performed well, let me just read it to you. Our games business area with Deep Silver, THQ Nordic, and Coffee Stain grew revenue by 51%, generating net sales of $836 million in the quarter. Key drivers behind the top-line performance was the stable back catalog sales from titles such as Metro Exodus, which is a well-known franchise, Wreckfest and Satisfactory, as well as the new releases Darksiders Genesis and Shenmue 3. So Shenmue 3 was one of the top mentioned by the CEO in this press release. So that was pretty significant, the fact that they call out specifically Shenmue 3 was one of the reasons why we did so well. To see that line is just so good, especially for us fans. So this matters. This came directly from the CEO of the Embracer Group. So moving down, looking at the business area uh, of the games for Deep Silver in specifically, um, these are the new titles that they released during the period during the year. So on the right on the top they have Shenmue 3, Deep Silver. Technically that's the publishing label was specifically under Deep Silver. Two platforms, PC and PS4, right at the top, which was good. If you scroll down further, it says Shenmue 3 was the principal Deep Silver revenue driver in the quarter. The main revenue driver was Shenmue 3, which was good. I mean, then they mention other games like Metro Exodus and other revenue drivers, but the fact that um, this was mentioned is amazing. Is this a report that Sap Parad was referring to? Possibly. I think so. I picked this link up from the group in particular. Um, so I think so. Yeah, it is. So yeah, and this is basically on the website uh, for this company that they just released this press release. So this press release in itself, this actual 10K, if you want to call it, if it was released in the U.S., gives you all the financial information that you need to know and their explanation on what caused their profitability and what their balance sheet and cash flow and revenue statement would be. So that in itself is promising. Now I'm going to look at the companies. Do they have a consolidated? That's a balance sheet, changes in equity, cash flow statement, parent company income. Okay, so this consolidated company. Wait, this is the financials I'll put up for their year end. This company. Oops, why did I scroll up? Sorry, guys. So this is an SEKM, so I'm not sure how that would translate into US dollars, but their revenue was pretty good. Operating income was less than 10% of their, well, actually, the total operating income. This is probably a number of income revenue sources that added up to this. And after operating expenses, they had a positive operating profit, about little less than a tenth, and their net profit, the company was profitable. Now, the reason I'm looking this up in particular, the profitability of the company, is yeah, is the fact that if they aren't making money, then you have a concern of, sure, Shenmue was successful, but would these guys have the ability to not only generate enough profit to sustain themselves to develop another Shenmue, but to keep this series going long term? So assets 8.6 whatever in assets. I can't even tell you what that is. And liabilities and equity, they just have it all shored up, but total assets 8.6, liabilities 2 plus other capital reserves. Liabilities and equity always match. I can't tell what equity is from this, but I'm assuming this is equity. This company's worth seemingly a lot of money. I look so bad in this. Should turn this effect off, but I can't. It's kind of weird. So anyway, all in all, my point is these guys are making money. They have enough money to hopefully invest in another Shenmue and put a lot of money into it, especially since it's a main revenue driver. So investors are going to want to see a sequel to Shenmue, because if you have a sequel to their highest revenue earning investment, then they're just going to want this thing to keep going and get larger, get bigger. This should turn the heads of Sega because this is Sega's property. This is Sega's IP. Sega should be looking at this as well, and you better believe that they are, and saying, "Holy cow, they took our property, our IP, and they just made a ton of money with it." Virtual Bros, you're asking if the previous statement that Shenmue had underperformed just misinformation? Possibly, because when you say underperform, it could be analysts or those that do forecasting can project a performance of X. And whatever that projected performance is, if they don't meet it, they'll say, okay, it underperformed compared to our expectations. However, that doesn't mean that it's not going to be your highest earning revenue product and not do well. Obviously, it was still strong. They just probably, when you compare it against an estimate, it's that can throw you off, at least emotionally, because all in all, let's say I project that I'm going to earn $100 million this next month, and I'm set on it, but I earned $10 million. Didn't I still earn $10 million, enough to change all of our lives? Yeah, I'll be disappointed I didn't earn $100 million, but it's there. So, yeah, so Virtual Bros, it probably less than what was expected, and what that basis was, who knows. But when you look at the numbers themselves and you compare it to what the company did, they did enough to earn money. So that in itself is important. So that's a good question, and it's what I was talking about. Why isn't Sega involved in Shenmue 4? I totally think and believe that they're going to want to be involved. Let me actually zoom out of these financials a little bit so I stop blinking white and I can be seen a little bit. A little better. Less, I mean, I got the green stuff behind me, but Sega in itself would. What's up, Disciple Low? I'm still playing Shenmue 3 as well. I'm gonna put up a little hint of that, and then my face is gonna go crazy. But Sega's gonna look at this as an opportunity because now Sega's like in the limelight. They are having a heck of a time. Sonic movie. You've got Shenmue 3 being successful and in the news. You've got Sega's opportunity to earn money from different revenue streams. The fact that they've got their IPs out there. They've got the opportunity to really do something with what they have now. Specifically with Sonic and even with Shenmue. Shenmue itself has really done a good job. Now, Sega in the past has let us down a few times. They let us down with some of their decisions, especially in the mid to late 90s. And even with the Shenmue series when it started, because Shenmue in itself was an exclusive title for a dying system. And although Dreamcast was great, in itself was a dying system. So then they launched it as an exclusive title for another system that's brand new, that people are still experimenting with. But they released it without really doing much work to improve it, or at least release a sequel on it. They screwed Shenmue. So then we, the fans, had to put our resources and just try to push it so that we can make it great, make it alive, make it what it is today, which it was a kickstarted game, crowdfunded game, and it's doing pretty well for a company. I mean, heck, I wish us as investors could get some of that profitability and say, hey, come on, what we all had a part in it, but you guys get to reap the benefits and we get nothing. Well, no one invested as much as Epic Games did by themselves, that's for damn sure. But we did put in half the cost. So, at least half the cost. Maybe a little less, but we put in half. But we get what we get. We weren't promised any type of additional investment aside from what we got. Speaking of, there should be some new Shenmue items that I should be expecting shortly as a Kickstarter backer. I actually got the prints, that like all the artwork. So I got the digital version of the artwork, but I did want the print too as well. So when I get that, I'll definitely let you guys know. But all in all, Sega's sitting on a potential gold mine. Gold mine with bringing Shenmue 4 out to the fans. Now, are they going to take it from Epic and say, you know what, we're going to do this ourselves? Or are they still going to collaborate with Epic? Because they already started it, so they can continue with it. And that in itself, I think either way, it could still be successful. Granted, Epic did cause some controversy to this game, and Deep Silver in itself did what they could, and there was some controversy there, and Epic as well, providing the funding. But it still did pretty well. But if it's taken back to Sega in-house and Sega really pushes it, it could also be a good thing for the company, because then Sega could be like, you know what, thanks, you got your money, but we're going to take our license back and we're going to take it and make it even better, and we're going to you work with Yu Suzuki and his development teams to take it to the next level. EastNet will just work with Sega and then kind of go from there. It's possible. Will it happen? I don't know. So I'm bringing up some footage that I've got here. See, I was going to release a video this week, actually today, in regards to my Shenmue 3 gameplay. I had played the new DLC, and I had pretty much um, started to see how the story went. So, especially with doing all of this. How's my screen? Is it all messed up now? Hang on a second. It's like doubled up here. Oops, that was a different stream that I had. Take that out. There, you can see it full screen. Um, I did a camera screen before that, so what you just saw was the background of my camera stream. That went pretty well. So, all in all, I tried waiting with the classic cups of the Chawan sign from Shenmue 2, but that didn't work. And then I actually looked at the paper and saw that it worked if you did it another way. But I won't have too many spoilers here. I just wanted to let you know that I'm producing a funny video on Shenmue 3 gameplay with this new DLC. Um, I assume they probably want to make Shenmue 4 on Unreal 4, and Deep Silver has a good relationship with Epic. True, I would assume so as well, but I don't know if or what will happen. Especially the fact that everyone knows that Shenmue can make money at this point, and it has made money. So now that the franchise has been relaunched, 1, 2, and 3 within a year's time, within a year and a half's timeline, all of the games in the series have been released in current generation, so that modern gamers know what the game's about or what it looks like. So you want to keep it going so that gamers of this age can play it and still understand it before they age, and then the game's way too old for them to play it. So it's important to keep the franchise going, but who gets the reins? That's debatable, but if I were a betting man, I'd say Deep Silver and Epic are definitely going to keep the Shenmue series under their belt. I mean, I think that makes the most sense, at least right now. So, let me know what you guys think and what your impressions are for the latest DLC. I'm putting out more videos. Check out my last video too that I did with some funny gameplay if you haven't seen it already. It's pretty good and it's doing pretty well on this channel. Not the Sonic review, but just the gameplay review. Although that's good. Watch everything. Subscribe if you haven't. It's fun, of course. Um, so yeah, and when I play this game, actually I don't want to spoil it because I do a lot of hilarious things in this whole run through. So I definitely want to get to that. But anything else you guys want to mention before I sign off? Because it's actually all good news and I'm super happy. except for the fact that I gotta get my studio back. Come on. So, Retro Godfather, I completed the DLC. I liked it, but it felt like it was supposed to be part of the main game in the first place. I don't know. I haven't completed it yet, to be totally honest. I can't wait to complete it, but you know, it's I got a ton of things going on right now. Fintenborg, I'm happy too. Virtual Bros, I liked the DLC. I thought it was funny. Um, so many damn plants to pick from. Disciple Low. Nice Fintenborg, let them fight for it. Cool. So, all in all, Shenmue 3 is a success. Sega is a success. Everything's going super well. That's how we wanted it. And a special thanks to all of you guys, because not only is Sega a success, not only Shenmue success, Sonic a success, but we are a success together. You guys have helped grow this channel. I'm so glad to be at almost 600. I wanted to be at 1,000 by the time Shenmue 3 launched, and I had that goal, but whatever. I still got the community, you guys just joining me, which is so good. Again, I promise I'll look better and I'll have everything set up better next time. I just got some work to do. This will be this week's video. Next week's video, I'll be back to editing. Hopefully, I'll be done with editing this playthrough, and we can still keep talking. So, anyway, yep, that's how it's going. You was probably sleeping overnight again at the office tonight. That's from Finton Bork. I wouldn't be surprised. Virtual Bros, thanks for the good news, Magnus. I was down in the dumps for a while. Don't be down in the dumps, because we've been down in the dumps before, and what did we do? We pulled ourselves right out of it, got positivity going, never gave up hope, keep the dream alive, and Shenmue will live on. Thank you guys for watching. This is Magnus. You make my day when you subscribe today if you haven't already. And I'm out. Good news for all. See you guys later.